Well, well, well. I've heard some rumors, and I will not address them, even though I am itching to address them, or I'm just itching in general. It's quite hot outside. But that's not the point. The point is that I will not talk about any said rumors, even the ones that are pissing me off, until season 2 airs, which is only 6 days away. So, I think collectively as a fandom, we should be happy that this weekend we're finally going to be able to see the pilot of season 2 of House of the Dragon. And talking about dragons, look at this beautiful one. Look at him over there. He's mewing, and then that's the young one. His actor was fantastic. Look, he's got the only working eye. Look at that. He's smiling. He's smirking. All right. When Aemond was first shown, people were admiring that chin, that hair, that beautiful lack of eye. I mean, the older Aemond. When he was younger, he was looked at as pretty sympathetic. He was the victim of bullying from quite literally everybody in his family, and his life was quite shit. He was pretty good at fighting, though, but he sort of had to be on account of him being dragonless and all. His character is quite princely to some extent, and it's very enjoyable to see a dude who's not afraid of voicing his ambition. Him saying that he'd be a better king than Aegon is completely in line with his character, and for once, it's good that there is a person who isn't afraid of stating what he thinks is the truth. Aemond had to spend his entire life enduring hardships from his own family. In the elitist square of the Targaryen, Velaryon, strong three-way, right, he's the bottom of the barrel. His siblings, nephews, cousins, and quite literally any other Targaryen who may or may not be alive has a dragon, legitimate that is, or I guess considered as much. Even the nephews who look nothing like Targs have dragons. His Valyrian cousins also have dragons, minus Rhaena, and he's the only one left. To compensate for his lack of dragonness, he has to be better at everything else. He has to be a better fighter, he has to be smarter, he has to be more careful, and overall, he needs to be more worthy of a contender since he doesn't have a massive dragon to back him up. That is what makes him think he'd be better at ruling. While the others had dragons, he didn't, and the only thing that separated from his family from the rest of nobility was a dragon, and he felt like he may not be a true Targ because of that. He had to become the perfect prince to be seen as a worthy contender, which is why he gives that whole massive monologue about how when Aegon was, drinking his way to an early grave, he was studying philosophy and history and all that random nonsense. The real character changes occur when he claims Vhagar. Now, I personally love that scene, given the direction that it has, and pairing it with the score is just a touch of perfection. This is the first time we've had to see a Targ bond with a dragon, unlike cradle dragons, or cradle dragons. I made that mistake twice now. Aemond claimed the oldest one alive. The beginning is shaky as he fails to chain himself to Vhagar properly, but when he finally does, it's like the life he has to spend in a defensive stance is relieved and left behind. He is finally living what makes his family great, and that is a dragon. Him claiming a dragon was never about becoming hungry on power, it was about overcoming the burden of being the last Targ alive, minus Rhaena, who didn't have a dragon. Now that he has one, he thinks that he won't be a victim of bullying from his own family. But immediately after claiming a dragon, he gets ambushed by 4 kids. Now this interaction gives Aemond sort of a bad rep, but, Ewan makes up for it from being Ewan. It makes him seem like he's always been a violent brute who's only ever needed something to back him up to show his true nature. It makes it seem like he's always been sort of an asshole, but that's not the case, right? Aemond was quite innocent when he was younger. As a matter of fact, he even tried to pay condolences in a weird way to Jace when he learnt of the death of Harwin. All right, in some ways, Aemond is trying to say, "I'm sorry for your loss," but Jace doesn't know how to deal with it because he's been told that Harwin wasn't his dad. Whatever. The problem is that it's done. When he gets Vhagar, though, he gets this air of superiority. He walks into that system of cave-looking doorways, and he says, "It's me," with such confidence that it seems like he's being an asshole. But really, it's just an adrenaline high you feel after winning something, despite having been on the losing side your entire life. The kids then say that he stole Vhagar, to which he responds saying something like, "Your mother is dead and Vhagar has a new rider." And though it's harsh, it is not untrue. All right. Lena is dead, and Vhagar does have a new rider. Then he calls Rhaena a pig, and then tells him to get over the death of their mother. Now this seems a little needless, because it makes him look like he's been holding that one back since he got pranked with the pink dread, but it'd be a lot funnier if he said that to one of his nephews, and the Strong Boys. And then he gets punched, and the fighting begins. Now, I went back and I watched the entire fight to see who really was at fault here, alright? He says, of course, he taunts the children, and then he calls the Strong Boys bastards and whatnot, but then here is a one-by-one breakdown of the 8 major things that happen in the fight. The first thing is, Rhaena charges Aemond, who deflects her. Then Baela comes at him and punches him, and then he punches her back. Alright? One of the strong boys charges him and gets kicked down, and then the other one charges him and gets pushed back. The reason why I don't know which one it is because I can't tell them apart. Alright? Then the girls and one of the strong boys throw him down and start punching him when he's lying there, but then he manages to get them away. He then picks up a rock and taunts Luke, though he pushes him away, and then Jace charges him with a knife. Alright? He manages to throw Jace down and then holds a rock above him, but doesn't hit him. Alright? Then Jace throws dirt in his face, and then Luke slashes his eye. While watching the fight, I saw that Aemond had a pretty big chance to hit the strong boys twice with the rock, but he didn't, and I won't blame Luke for charging Aemond, but his intent was pretty much to deal as much damage as he could, while aiming for his face. Self-defense is one thing, I think Luke was just trying to kill Aemond. He had enough time to see that Aemond had dirt in his eye, but instead of running away, he slashed him. I won't blame any of the kids, but it was by no means a fair fight, and he's only like a year older than Luke. Jace, sorry. He's only like a year older than Jace anyway. The real problem occurs when he's being treated. Alright? Rhaenyra, after hearing Aemond called the boys bastards, wants to have him strongly questioned, which is secret speak for tortured. Alicent, upon hearing this, is rightly pissed. She has been gaslit her entire life into thinking that Rhaenyra is Miss Goody Two-Shoes, who can never do wrong, and despite the obviousness of the bastardry, she wants Aemond tortured for speaking the truth. Rhaenyra does, that is. And then Vizzy doubles down on it by making it illegal to speak of the boy's heritage, after which Alicent loses her shit. Her son is maimed, his cousin wants him tortured, and instead of caring for their kid, Vizzy protects the strong boys. Alright? This escalates and it ends up with Rhaenyra getting slashed. Then, in his own way of consoling his mother, he says a pretty metal line, claiming that he lost an eye, but it was worth the price for Vhagar and whatnot. And that is a cool-ass line. Then when he grows up, he has this aura to him that's missing in all the other kids. Aegon is a drunkard who looks flabby and looks like he has skinny fat. Jace has scoliosis. Luke is bad at social cues. Joffrey is a cute baby who's going to have a terrible death. And Daeron doesn't exist, apparently. And I'll keep bringing him up until he's either mentioned or shown, and that's on HBO. He's a very enjoyable character who probably has the best setup compared to the others. His toast at the feast is amazing. His servitude to Aegon despite not believing in him is pretty good. Him giving that little nod during the coronation is also fun, and it's good acting in my opinion. His undoing, however, is Storm's End. And now here's the thing. Now, it's clear that he isn't over losing his eye. He wants revenge of sorts from Luke, and though he says he wants an eye, what he really wants is his humiliation. Aemond was bullied when he was young, and even though his nephews were younger than him, he still feels spiteful. When he fought them, he lost, and that pisses him off even more. All in all, the eye is just a way of getting back at Luke and have him humiliated in the same way that Aemond felt he was humiliated when he was younger. But Luke refuses and Aemond gives chase. How he got away with Vhagar before Luke did, despite being in the hall when Luke ran away, is beyond me. Maybe he teleported, because that's something you can do when you have a dragon. Then, while enjoying making Luke scared, it all goes to shit when Arrax and Vhagar decide that they want to kill each other. Arrax goes into fight or flight mode and starts spitting fire on Vhagar, and Vhagar, being the woman that she is, or the dragon that she is, eats Arrax. Now, he kills Luke despite not wanting to, but it won't matter anyway, it's all gone to shit now. Now, Aemond in the books is a moron who does dumb things with a massive ego. The show has a chance to retcon a lot of that. He's a smart guy who knows the implications of many things, so will he go off to burn the Riverlands and abandon Criston Cole in enemy territory? Well, I think even though the last duel with Daemon is going to be epic, I feel like the build-up to it has to be very different. See, the show has done a good job at showing us the kind of person Aemond is. He's sensible, but he makes mistakes when he's overtaken by a fit of anger, right? He sits upon his high horse of his massive dragon, but then when it backfires on him, what does he do? Now, will it be bad characterization if Aemond goes off and starts burning the Riverlands? Well, yes, because it serves no purpose, right? In the books, at least, it does absolutely nothing, because his entire burning campaign leads to shit anyway, because the Riverlanders can apparently spawn armies out of their asshole. So, all in all, the burning of the Riverlands didn't really do anything, in the green cause. So I think even though the writers can make him still do that, the build-up has to be so much bigger, and the effects have to be so much bigger as well, that they have to give it proper reasoning. Aemond for now is a sensible dude who understands when things go wrong, they go wrong very bad. He's training very hard because he knows a fight is inevitable, with Rhaenyra and that, considering his family is a threat to her existence on the throne. Now, do I think that Aemond would be as stupid as he was in the books? No, he's clearly much smarter in the show. And the writers did a much better job with him in the show than they did with a lot of the other Green kids, particularly Aegon. But the point is that even though I feel like they have the opportunity to retcon a lot of stuff for him, the problem mainly occurs how you make the lines fit, alright? Because in the books, after leaving King's Landing with Criston, he's outsmarted, after which he's not going after any of the blacks, he just goes and burns things for no reason. After Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, he spends his entire time running away from Daemon and Nettles, and burning people to death who aren't even fighting in a war. That's the main problem with Book Aemond, is that he has a massive ego who does stupid things and doesn't contribute to his family's war effort. He doesn't even try to come back to King's Landing. He's not going to help Daeron, he just sort of runs away. If the writers want him to have an epic duel with Daemon in the end, I feel like they can still do that, but they have to have Daemon do something else along this. I'm not going to be outing here, I'm not going to make a map for the writers to make sense of Aemond. What I'm saying is this, is that they did a much better job with Aemond, and it'd be stupid for them to just make him dumb and then send him to the Riverlands to burn things up. Really, he should really be fighting, and then when the casualties start getting too big into the black side, he is then taunted by Daemon, who then goes after his fragile ego, who then has the God's Eye death, right? And to some extent, I want the last, their last duel to be sort of like a mutually understood thing. I want Aemond to show up, and I want him to know for a fact that he's going to die here. But I want him to die knowing that he has done everything that he can to support his family. Because ultimately, in the end, the Greens still come out on top for some time. Aegon still takes back King's Landing, Alicent is safe. He's only then poisoned by his constituents, and then whatnot, right? So, I feel like if the writers want to make him and the last duel have a lot more impact, then they need to have him do things that actually contribute to the war effort. They just can't have him flying around burning things. Lots of room is all I'm saying. Alright? Now, I like Aemond in the show, and he's arguably the most commanding of the newer characters. His presence is menacing, but within that menace is just a scared boy who's still afraid at how cruel the world can be. The real question is to see how he copes with the consequences of his accident, and then fighting a war because of it. All in all, I love Aemond, and Ewan Mitchell has a fantastic chin. Peace.